What is the word? 23. What is the word? 23.
There's a bunch of actions and all kinds of stuff.
My name is Elliot Gabriel. I'm with the Todo por el Pueblo Collective and the United Front for Justice and Dignity. And today I think we managed to make our mark on the House of Labor, within the House of Labor, by calling for that they take a stance against a neoliberal immigration reform. A neoliberal immigration reform where the workers themselves, regardless of immigration status or citizenship, would pay the highest price. It's being carried out in the name of human rights, in the name of helping the workers, citizenship, and that type of thing. But it's really a vast neoliberal labor reform and a militarization scheme that's going to have hugely negative effects on the civil rights, civil liberties, and protections of people on this throughout this continent. And so we're calling for support for Resolution 23, which is in the delegates' packet, which is extremely important. Labor has to take a stand in defense of all workers, and not just the high staff of the high pay of the staffers or those who sit at the table with Barack Obama and with the heads of corporations. We need to completely remove the corporate influence on labor's stances, and that requires a fight within the labor movement, which is what we hope that we contributed to today. That was our humble goal, was to voice our support for Resolution 23 and reach out to our brothers and sisters and demand that they take a stand in support of the workers and in support of those who are in these communities here in Los Angeles.
So Richard Trumka today at the press conference, he was asked about immigration. He said that they have a good agreement with Tom Donahue, the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
and that agreement is going to help immigrants and immigration.
There are two alliances, so-called alliances or lobby groups that have been pushing for so-called immigration reform, common sense immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform. It goes by two names. Chamber of Commerce is one of the leading organizations. They have the Essential Workers Immigration Coalition, which is comprised of such horrible exploiters such as Tyson Foods, the growers, various Marriott, Hilton, and so the Chamber of Commerce has a stake in this because they want to see a guest worker program pushed through, because they want to drive the final nail in the coffin of organized labor. The other group is the Partnership for a New American Economy, led by Michael Bloomberg, which is chaired by the CEO of Microsoft, the CEO of Marriott, the CEO of Wackenhut, which operates and owns detention and removal operations facilities and private prisons, is a part of this so-called immigration reform movement. It's headed by Michael Bloomberg as well as Rupert Murdoch, and they're calling for immigration reform, which is their code word for 21st century economy, which is their code word for a neoliberal economy where workers simply don't have rights, because when workers have rights, that's a threat to the profitability of these corporations. And so, yeah, they have an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce to take out the long knives and drive it into the heart of the labor movement, and that's something that we're fighting against. And I think that if most of the brothers and sisters who are here today knew what the implications of immigration reform really were, common sense immigration reform, they would be against it. They would support Resolution 23. But you're not hearing about that from the podium, from the labor feds, from the bosses or the labor bosses. And so that's what we're trying to do, is simply register our protest against a process that's undemocratic, where the voices of undocumented and the voices of the workers and of the youth and of the people in our communities are not heard. And so they're talking about diversity. We need diversity, but we also need truth.
I got to hear the debate, and I think it's important for people to understand that you got to fight for what you want and not compromise for what you don't want. Because like, if you want to fight for what you don't want and get it, it makes no sense if you're going to fight for what you don't want and get it. People just don't get that yet. People are going to change. You plant the seeds and people to stand up for what they believe in, and sooner or later that seed will grow.
All workers have to have the right to organize. That's one reason
second-class workers?
Right.
Guest worker program?
Yes, we want all workers to have the right to organize, no matter what their status of being documented or undocumented.
No, there was no debate, but we, I think, succeeded in one thing, which is we have actually started a fight inside this labor movement over the issue of immigration reform. We actually got issues on the floor by reporting out of these tabletop sessions.
The main issue and the main message was to the convention delegates and other organizations or constituency groups that we oppose S744 as inhumane, penalizing, criminalizing, and we're against workers not being able to be human beings and dictate the direction that they want to go in the issue of organized labor and human rights and civil rights.